for joining me today for another art project with me, Shelley. And we are going to practice marbling again like we did with our shaving cream for Earth Day. But this time we're going to use different ingredients. We're not going to use shaving cream this time. This time I've got some vegetable oil that you're going to need to mix in with your liquid watercolors or food coloring that you might have around the house. So you can use liquid watercolors or food coloring for this project, some vegetable oil, and you're going to need a nice flat pan, kind of like this. Any kind of baking pan would work, for some water. So the first thing I'm going to do is mix my oil with my colors. This one I've already started with some red, and I'm using these colors: red, yellow, and what color is this? Blue. These are the three primary colors: red, yellow, and blue. And you can make any colors from these three. So we're going to practice mixing colors today using just these three. So those are the colors that I would recommend having out for our dishes, for our mixing today. So I've got 3 clear dishes here that and each color is going to get one. Each color is going to get its own dish. So I'm going to add a little bit more oil to my red and mix more color into there. I'm going to add some oil into yellow, and I'm going to put oil into my blue dish. And a little bit more in here, and a little bit more in there. Okay, set that off to the side. You may also want to have on hand some paper towel for the picture that's going to come out from this. And I've gathered a bunch of different kinds of paper. I'm not sure which is going to work best for this project. I've experimented with a couple different kinds. The best paper to use would be a note card paper or cardstock, or watercolor paper. But I've got a watercolor piece of paper, and then some printer paper that I found works really well for this. And then I've actually cut up into squares some other recycled items. This is just cardstock from the back of a mattress pad that I think will work well with the oil. And then I also have the back of a cardstock calendar that I thought would be kind of neat to combine the print with the ink and oils. So I'm just going to experiment with a few different kinds of paper, and I cut them into small enough squares that it's going to fit into my my square dish with the water in it. Okay, so we're going to mix the oil with the color, and I'm distracted outside. There's a bird's nest, and there's birds that are sitting in it right now. I'm just watching them while I'm talking with you. So I hope you don't mind if I'm a little distracted, but I'm going to put enough ink in there to give it a nice bright color. And then do some yellow. And it's really fun to mix the colors. I had a lot of fun doing this without even making a picture with it. Just pouring the color into the oil is neat to see those droplets form. So you can see I'm just putting more color into there. And then some into, it's a little hard to get open. So I wonder what your favorite color is. If you want to tell me in any comments, please feel free to do that. I always say I love all the colors, because I really do. There's so many colors. So I've got pretty good amount of color now mixed in that oil, and I'm going to take this fork that I have and kind of mix the color into the oil. And you might want to use a little less oil than I did. I just wanted to show you it, and then I'm cleaning my fork between each bowl so my colors don't mix in the oil. And then here's my yellow. Mix that around a little so that the bubbles are not so big. They've gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And clean my fork off once again. And here's my blue. Mix that together. Stirring, stirring, stirring. So now my oil is blue. Okay. Now I'm going to take and I also have 3 spoons. I have, I don't have droppers to use. If you have droppers, that works really well, but I'm going to use a spoon to spoon my oil and color mixture into the water. So I've got 3 spoons, 1 for each color that I'm going to use. And you can use more colors if you want to experiment. There's no wrong way to mix color for this particular project. We're just having fun. So I'm going to pour this water in so it creates 1 complete layer on the bottom of my pan. Maybe a little less than an inch if you're measuring how tall the water should be. You don't need a whole lot, just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. Okay, and then here comes the fun part. Now we can start mixing. So I'm going to mix, let's see, what color should I do first? Well, blue is such a strong color, and so is red, and I think I'm going to try mixing those together. So I'm going to take my spoon for my blue and get a nice big scoop of this blue pigment that I've made, and I'm going to drop it, spoon it into the water. Ooh, and I'm going to show you what that looks like by bringing the camera over just for a second. Oops. So you can see that I've got it swirling around in there. Looks really neat. Okay, now we'll take the red and do the same thing. There we go. Adding red to it, to our blue that we have. You can see it start to swirl around together. Here we go. So there's a lot of blue there. I'm going to put the camera back down again so I can add a lot more red to this. Hope you don't mind the movement. Okay. Now let me take more red and spoon it in to my dish. It's kind of creating some marbles. With the different colors mixing. So I'm going to use those 2 colors for my first art piece, blue and red, and I'm going to see what that turns out like. I'm choosing to use the back of this note card here and to just see what it looks like. So here I go. I'm going to put my paper in over my marbling. And remember, it's going to be oily, so I'm going to lift it up, and I've got some paper towel ready. Let's see. And there's my marbling. So I don't want to hold it up too much and have it all run off of there, but I do want to show you what it looks like. So I'm gonna set this down on my paper towel here. Pretty neat, huh? And put that right there. So that paper works out pretty well for this because it holds the oil. Let me show you again. Pretty neat. So that's one example that I'm going to show you now. Let's try it. Let's try it with this calendar paper and see how that holds up with our marbling. I think I put a little too much blue in this time. Well, with this one, you can kind of see the colors mixing a little bit more, but not as marbly as the other paper. So, and let me do it with the printer paper, because many of us have that on hand and we might not have cardstock. So let's see what that looks like. The back of the paper looks really neat when I put it down in the oil. Ooh, I like the way that looks. It's pretty neat. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this art. It's really fun to experiment and play around with the colors and the way the materials work together. So I encourage you just to have fun with it, and you can always clean out the pan. I'm going to clean this out and I'm going to mix maybe not as much blue. I'm going to do maybe my yellow and red together and see what that looks like. And I love to see what colors that you come up with your marbling of this oil in water technique. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a really awesome day and enjoy making your artwork. See you next time.